I'm not afraid. I am not afraid. Just a small setback in week 0, week 1. Week 1 is the real opening season of the college football season. I am not afraid. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost. If you want to support this home for the college football sicko with a donation to help us keep the lights on, hit that $ where you make a comment and I'll get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Thanks everybody for joining us on a Monday, August 25th. We are heading towards week 1. We are heading towards college football games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be a beautiful thing. We are going to be going over just a little bit. We've already gone over a lot of these games, but we are going to touch upon about 9 or 10 of the week 1 games. Because we are going to be making our picks tomorrow. You guys vote on whatever side of the ledger the Einsteins are going to be, and I'm going to be making my selections against the spread. This week, I go first. This week, I go first in the picks. And if you guys were bright, which you're not, you've proven that over and over and over. If you guys were truly had any wisdom at all, you would just follow my picks. You would just repeat what I'm going to do. Because if you do that, you are going to be at about an 80% winning percentage. Because that's where I'm going to be. That is where I'm going to. So we are going to be going over some football games today. Not all of them. We're not going to go. Let me put it this way. We are only going to go through the games that we are probably going to pick tomorrow. The games for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're not touching Miami, Notre Dame today. We're not touching South Carolina, Virginia Tech today. We're not touching TCU, North Carolina. We are going to touch them. We are going to do those games. But we got enough on our slate today, so I'm going to put that off. Greg is slipping in the senility. Well, maybe this is how I deal with trauma, Mr. Cowboy. Maybe this is how I deal with trauma. Week 0, I went 1-2. You guys went 1-2. I got the Hawaii game correct. You all got the Kansas game correct. Rod Nix went 3-0. Greg is taking week 0 way too hard. I take every week hard, Jason. Every week is life or death. I mean, good God, there's only, how many weeks are there? 14 of them? How many winning weeks did I have last year? Week 1 slipped away. Week 2 slipped away. Week 3 slipped away. They slip away. They just mount up. They just stack up. Loser, 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 loser. I cannot have that happen again this year. So, I'm focused. I'm focused like a laser beam. We're going to be going over the football games for week 1. There's, now, MBM, I'm going to get MBM mad at me. I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me here. I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me on the live show. So, before I get mad, before you get mad at me, before you all get mad at me for the subject that I'm going to be talking about, please smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. Okay, now I can anger you. The larger college football playoff format is still in play. According to what I've been told, the larger than 16 playoff format, whatever it's going to look like, is still in play. So we are going to be going over that a little bit here. It's actually a story that I'm working on. What makes it convenient, well, there is an athletic director in the ACC that said something rather interesting today that I think falls in line with the belief by many right now that I've talked to that a pretty large college football playoff format is still in play. Be it 18, be it 20, be it 24. No matter how much it gets ridiculed, no matter how much it gets lampooned, it looks like it may be possibly it is in play. It could be possibly maybe it's gaining some traction. So we are going to talk about that. And my oh my, my oh my, my oh my. New athletic director. New athletic director for the Maryland Terrapins. Says gave an answer to a quick question about how many teams are going to be in the Big Ten. How many schools are going to be in the Big Ten in 2030? And he answered 20. Without any hesitation. 20. New athletic director, very new, Jim Smith, Maryland. He just became the athletic director, I think, in June. Sounds like it sounds like there's been some socializing going on in the Big Ten. I mean, he just arrived. He's never been an athletic director before. He's got a long career in professional sports all through the city of Atlanta. However, he was the president, the CEO of a certain alumni association in the Big Ten, a school that happens to be, well, probably directing traffic when it comes to the next Big Ten expansion. So we are going to go through that interesting little nugget, little interesting story. But I want to say thank you for all of you for joining us on a Monday 25, Monday, August 25th. Appreciate it. Nick Kelso's in the house. Bruce Harris, Deities, Woody Bortner, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it, Woody. MBM, Oklahoma State Cowboy. Bob Swanger, we are Skaven, yes. Oh boy. We are getting ready for the Dylan Raiola show. Come Thursday night. The Cornhuskers are excited. Jim Reese is in the house. CFB Plus is here. The Georgia Bulldog is here. David B. Greg the Gold. Well, not yet. We're going to have to wait another week. Doug Steinhauser, the Evil Badger, Jeff Olson. Rod is here. Jason is here. Bimba 75, 79. Vox Quindaro is still. His feet haven't hit the floor yet. After the big win, Kansas looked impressive. Bo Stacker is in the house. 555 Rock. Drama. DLB is here. Two Master. Thanks for coming on in. Christopher Hooter. Go Tigers. Jago Blue. The Red Raider. Laura Weiss is in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Laura. George Holton. Gonna go opposite of the cooler. If you were an Einstein, George Holton, if you were a true Einstein, you would mimic the fat guy from Minnesota this week. Mimic my picks. And you're going to be all right. You are going to be... Chaotic is in the house. Son of Sarek. Thanks for coming on in, Son of Sarek. Appreciate it. Toast is in the house. The Architect, good afternoon. PATC, Bo Weevil, go Clemson. Ben White is here. MGC Suna is her. Stormy Cyclone. I fear cold front coming Thursday night. I'm going to let you guys know right now. Of all the games we're looking at in week one of them is not my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. We're going to stay away from that game. I have made an executive decision. We are going to stay away from that game. It's not that I'm scared. It's not that I'm scared. It's not that I'm scared. I'm not a scaredy cat. I'm brave. I'm very brave. I'm not scared of nothing. I ain't scared of no Buffalo Bulls, who, by the way, they definitely picked the top 3 favorites to win the MAC. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid that they're playing a seventh year senior and we're playing the freshman at quarterback. I'm not afraid that the Buffalo Bulls have a 1,000-yard running back coming. I'm not afraid that the Buffalo Bulls have 9 starters coming back on defense. I am not afraid. We just happen to don't have room as part of the week 1 slate. Sorry. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I don't know what. Is that a turkey, George Holton? Are you putting up a turkey? I don't know what that animal. I do not know what that animal is. Okay, thanks for everybody. Amazing Blue, Ron Elite, thanks for coming on in. Lee 65, Mayor McCheese, and everybody else. Okay, let's get to it. We've got a stacked show today. We've got a stacked show. Let's talk about these games first. Really important. Pretty important G6, G5 game. Boise State at South Florida. Early on Thursday. My, oh my. Look, guys, you're going to have to figure this game out because this is going to be one of the games. Very important G5 game right off the bat. AAC South Florida. A lot of people believe their head coach is very promising. Boise State went to the playoffs last year. Now they lose their great running back, Ashton Genty. But they're bringing back their established offensive line. They're bringing back the quarterback. Now, I don't have Boise State in the playoffs. You all know this. I do not have Boise State in the playoffs. I went away from the play. I could not do it. I've got Tulane. I've got Tulane as the representative into the playoffs for the G6. South Florida, this is going to be a mighty important game. And you see the spread is plus 6.5 South Florida, minus 6.5 Boise State, 6.5 point spread. Look at the over-under, 62.5. That's pretty high for a week 1 game. You got to let that marinate. You got to let that game marinate. Nebraska, Cincinnati. Thank you, Ricky Tungate. I will get to your super chat here in a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Hoosier. Thank you for starting us off tonight. I appreciate it. I'm at work. We'll watch later. Thank you, Mr. Hoosier. Incredible generosity, Ricky Tungate. Nebraska, Cincinnati. I think this is going to be the Dylan Raiola show. But, guys, I'm not necessarily going to be taking the Cornhuskers. I'm worried about the Cornhuskers defense without the defensive coordinator, Tony White. Brennan Sorsby has won Big Ten games when he played for Indiana. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Matt Rule came out, I think it was today or yesterday. Scathing yes. You can let me know. But Matt Rule came out, I think it was today, and he said, for the two tackle spots, a right tackle and our left tackle, starting right tackle, starting left tackle, we are going to be rotating in 5 different players for those 2 positions. Really? You're gonna be rotating in 5 guys against Cincinnati? Dylan Raiola? You gotta have the offensive line mesh. You gotta have everybody working together. What's the old saying? If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have no quarterbacks. What if you have 5 offensive tackles? Does that mean you have 2? Or none? So I'm a little bit worried about that. But Nebraska wide receivers, I think, are going to be excellent this year. Dylan Raiola, going to be very good this year. Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, you all know I'm a big fan of his. He's going to have a better year this year than he had last year. Mr. Corleone, the defensive tackle, all Big 12. Very important. I think Cincinnati has the ability to shut down Nebraska's running game. I'm not a believer in Emmett Johnson. So anyways, this line hasn't moved. And so I'm already wrong on this game, by the way. I got to take the L on this game. Before the kickoff, I have to take the L because I've been telling you all this line's going to move. This line's going to go way up. This line's going to go to 7.5, 8. It's a Monday and it's stuck at 6. It has stuck at 6.5. What does that mean? Jason Spangler says he's seeing Nebraska -7. Even then, even at that, I'm wrong. I thought it'd be at 7.5 a couple of weeks ago, last week. What's going on here? You know that GBR, that Go Big Red money is going on the Cornhuskers. Some money is going on Cincinnati. It's a really interesting week 0 game. Satterfield coaching for his life. Matt Rule has all the weight on his shoulders. Everything from Lincoln to Omaha to Kearney, every place in Nebraska. All the pressure is on Matt Rule. Auburn, Baylor. Talking about pressure, Hugh Freeze. Now, we just said that Matt Rule is talking about rotating 5 offensive tackles in week 1. Hugh Freeze mentioned he might play 3 quarterbacks in week 1. But we all know that Jackson Arnold is QB1 for Auburn. I think you guys know where I'm leaning in this game. I think I made that pretty clear. So I'm not going to say anything more about it. Auburn at Baylor. Georgia Tech at Colorado. Now, a report just came out today. Deion Sanders has still not announced his QB1 between Salter and Lewis. I got to believe he's going with Salter. I got to believe he's going with the experienced hand in week 1. But it has not been announced. Maybe Deion is going to play 2 quarterbacks in week 1. But Georgia Tech knows who they're playing, right? It sounds like Haynes King is healthy. It sounds like Jamal Haynes is healthy. By the way, I forgot. Eric Singleton, the transfer that came from Georgia Tech that went to Auburn, he's been nicked up. He's questionable to play Friday night for Auburn. So keep that in mind. You know, Auburn's got this dual wide receiver threat, Coleman and Singleton, but Singleton might be limited. Georgia Tech and Colorado. I know who I'm picking in this game. I feel pretty good about this one. Texas and Ohio State. The Longhorns versus the Buckeyes. Well. Here we are. You all know I have not kept it a secret. The Texas Longhorns are going to win the national championship. They're going to beat Clemson in the finals. The Buckeyes are going to lose to the Georgia Bulldogs in the quarterfinals. But does that necessarily mean that I'm going to have the Longhorns covering this, winning this football game? You're going to have to all wait and find out tomorrow. What are you guys thinking? Rod Nick says Ohio State handily. Buckeye Greg says, sorry, Greg, the cooler ain't a happen. Bimba got the Longhorns at Texas plus 4.5. Al Bundy says Texas all damn day. Jason Spangler says Ohio State all day. It's going to be mighty interesting to see what the PATC, how all of you vote on this game tomorrow. What quarterback is truly ready? You've got Anthony Hill versus Sonny Styles, two great linebackers. You got Toth and Caleb Downs, the safeties, battling each other. Weisner, Peoples. Texas doesn't have Jeremiah Smith, but they got some dudes. Although the Buckeyes have other dudes on at wideout. We are going to be doing a watch party on this game, obviously. 12 noon Eastern time. Come join us this Saturday. Watch party, PATC. Texas, Ohio State. So we are going to be picking CJ Baxter. Will be back from injury last year. Thank you, Bundy, for the reminder. Tennessee, you must be from Tennessee because you are the only 10 I see versus Syracuse. Who is the real orange in this game? I don't want to give it away, what I'm going to do. But I think a lot of you can figure it out. Jermon McCoy is not playing yet for Tennessee. Although he seems to be getting healthier. He had that Achilles injury. You got Aguilar starting for the Volunteers. And you got my guy Angeli starting for the Syracuse Orange. Not only have I always liked Angeli, even his high school tape in New Jersey, I've always liked him. I mean, he always battled for the Notre Dame spot. And then he finally got to play a little bit last year, and he was excellent. He transfers to Syracuse, and look what Syracuse did last year. They brought in a transfer quarterback, Kyle McCord, and he had an excellent season for Fran Brown. Fran Brown and Syracuse Orange has already proven that they can bring a transfer quarterback in and hit on immediate success. Everybody says, well, great. Kyle McCord was a 5-star. Great. He was so good. He played for the Buckeyes before he transferred. Great. It probably doesn't have anything to do with Fran Brown. Or maybe it does. Maybe it does have something to do with Fran Brown. This is a scary game for Tennessee. $13.5 points. Now, the next game has gone up to 13.5, and I have not kept it a secret what I'm doing in this game. Alabama and Florida State. Give me the Seminoles and give me those 13.5 points. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Have you guys figured out what you're going to do tomorrow on this game? The Seminoles are going to cover this. Alabama will win. Florida State will cover. 13.5 is way too many points. Ty Simpson versus Tony White, the new defensive coordinator. Tony White is going to have Alabama all confused. The Seminoles offense ain't going to be able to take advantage of it. If Florida State, Thomas Castellanos, does not give up turnovers, does not give up the short field to Alabama, Florida State should be able to hang in there and lose a close one. NBM says Tennessee in a close one. Rod Nix, Syracuse in upset. One of the day. Rod Nix, Tony White gets the key to the city after his defense stuns Bama. Gold nose. Look at the over-under line. 50.5. That don't surprise me at all. That don't surprise me at all. This game is not going over. Take the under. Take Florida State. Clemson and LSU. Ooh, boy. This is a tough one. This is a most difficult game. Clemson could not stop the run last year. LSU did not have a physical running game last year. Brian Kelly's going to be under enormous pressure to finally win the opener for the people in Baton Rouge. A lot of pressure on Clemson. They're picked to do pretty much everything this year. Go all the way to at least to the semifinals. Win the ACC. Cade Klubnik is number one on a lot of Heisman watch lists. A lot of them. He's number 2 on our watch list. This is going to be quite the ball game. Over under 57.5. Can Clemson stop the run? That's like the number one thing I'm looking at. They should be able to, but they couldn't do it last year. They got to do it this year to get to where they want to go. Clemson, LSU, 3.5. Utah, UCLA. Now, there is a lot of positive buzz coming out of Westwood about Nico leaving on a jet plane. I don't know if I buy into it or not. Nico this, Nico that. Nico looks good. I don't know. Should I believe? Should I believe in Nico? With those Bruin colors, should I believe in Nico? I believe in Dampier just a little bit more, to be honest. I believe in Utah's defense a little bit more. I believe in Wayshawn, the transfer from Washington State, just a little bit more than what UCLA has. This is going to be a late night, Saturday night game. UCLA getting 6.5, Utah minus 6.5. Are the Big 12 fans even going to be rooting for Utah in this game? And we're going to throw up one more game up here. Hawaii and Arizona. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 1-0. 1-0 after defeating Stanford. Can they defeat Arizona? 17.5 point spread. Mika Aliado, the quarterback of Hawaii, all 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", the one-legged hero versus Stanford. The coach said today that he's going to be ready to play against Arizona. Arizona Wildcats, a down year last year. They got Noah Fafita coming back. They got the running back transfer from Texas State Bobcats. Don't forget him. We'll talk more about this game tomorrow. Hawaii, Arizona. So those are most of the games that we are going to be picking tomorrow. We're also going to be doing Notre Dame and Miami and North Carolina versus TCU and South Carolina versus Virginia Tech. So we got a lot to go through tomorrow when we do our predictions. Okay. First of all, Super Chat, Ricky Tungate, Mr. Hoosier, $20 holla. I'm at work. We'll watch later. Thank you, Ricky Tungate. Thank you for your generosity once again. Indiana Hoosiers getting ready for the season. Everybody doubting Indiana. Everybody is doubting Indiana except for Hoosier fans and the fat guy from Minnesota. I've got Indiana finishing in 5th. Knocking on the door for the college football playoffs once again. They are loaded. They're absolutely loaded. Aiden at linebacker. Kamara at defensive line. D'Angelo Pons in the secondary. That's just the defense. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback, is going to light it up this year. Indiana Hoosiers, I got them at number 5. So many doubters out there. So many doubters. And I think Indiana Hoosier fans, I think they got all the reasons, good reasons to believe in their team this year. They're going to be mighty good. Mighty good. Okay, thank you, Ricky Tungate. I appreciate it. Those Bulls from Buffalo are coming to town, and I am not afraid. I am not afraid. We're just not going to touch the game, that's all. We're not going to touch the game. Yes, we're not going to touch it. We're not. I don't want to. All I want to see is Darius Taylor be ready to play game 1. I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I just don't want to say anything. Okay. Miami's athletic director. Miami's athletic director, Dan Radakovich, on conference championship games, continuing or not, with potential season in college football playoff expansion ahead. This is what Dan Radakovich said today when on that question. I'm not that passionate about them, about conference championship games. I like them, but I think there are also alternatives we can look at. Wow. Very interesting comments. Now, Dan Radakovich and Mario Cristobal, Miami Hurricanes had their press conference, season opener press conference today. Radakovich said some other things, but basically, I'm focusing in on this. If you think about the college, when you're talking about the conference championship games, right? And you're thinking about getting rid of them, why would you get rid of conference championship games? If you're contemplating that, why? What would move you? What would move you to get rid of the conference championship games? What are the ingredients that would lead you to say, well, you know, I'm not passionate about it. We're looking at other alternatives. What would those other alternatives be? Now, Michael Smith says Miami would say that. They haven't been winning conference championships. Okay, there's a good elbow thrown. Good elbow thrown. But, you know, I think Radakovich is talking about the concept of them. He used to be the athletic director of Clemson, right? Why would he say that? It's almost, and we're going to talk about this when we get to the Maryland athletic director story, talking about how the Big Ten is going to be at 20 in 2030. We're going to get to that here next. But it almost sounds like Radakovich, they've been socializing this. I'm not that passionate about them. I like them, but I think there are also alternatives we can look at. I'm going to give you my opinion. You start looking away from conference championship games when you are looking towards a possible larger college football playoff format, and I think larger than 16. Let me, and I've talked about this before. I think there's a lot of traction in having 16 home playoff games on campus. 8 the first round, 8 the second round. In the first round, seeds 9 through 16. In the second round, seed 1 through 8. I think these athletic directors are looking at this conference championship games and they're saying, okay, we're playing a game. We're taking on risks. It does bring more money into the conference. But if we enlarge this playoffs, we are going to make up that money and more. Oh, and by the way, instead of playing this game in Indianapolis or some other stadium, if we're one of the top 16 teams in the country, and if you're going to a college championship game, a conference championship game as a Power 4, most of the time, almost all of the time, you are a top 16 team. I think these athletic directors are saying, I want a game at home. I want a game at home. We're going to make more media money. We are going to make more local money. We are going to make more sponsorship money. Our boosters are going to be happy. Our corporate boosters are going to be very happy. Our student body's going to be happy. Everyone's going to be more happier. I think that is what is driving this possibility of a much larger playoffs. Something that ESPN doesn't want to talk about. Something that Reese Davis said this is absurd and everybody else has been dunking on. I don't think you start thinking about the importance, the probability, the possibility of possibly eliminating conference championship games when it is your 12-team playoffs, your 14-team playoffs, even possibly your 16-team playoffs. I don't know, guys. I just wanted to bring this up. It was just a statement by an athletic director, and we're going to be talking about another statement by another athletic director here in a moment. Again, I'm just saying, I ain't saying, but I'm saying athletic directors did not talk like this a couple of years ago. They would not put any cold water on the on their conference championship game. It was a vital media piece. It was vital to see who was the conference champion in these large conferences. But if you are going to have a large playoffs, if you're going to have a large AQ model, guess what? Whoever finishes first in your conference in the regular season, give them the championship game. But now we are going to phase in a much larger playoffs with home campus games in the first and second round. Is that what is going on? Is that what is going on? Okay, now let's get to the last story here in our monologue. The Maryland Terrapins athletic director has something to say. Amazing Blue Super Chat. Greg just wanted to say, rest in peace to my fellow former teammate and friend and former golfer Justin Izam. Amazing Blue. I remember that name. He was a golfer years ago. Like, I want to say, I could be having this wrong. Like year 2000, 2001. Do I have that completely wrong, Amazing Blue? I am very sorry. I did not know he passed away. I'm very sorry about that. May he rest in peace. May his family and loved ones get through this difficult time. And the next time they see Justin, it will be forever. I'm very sorry, Amazing Blue. Thank you for the $5 holler. Rest in peace. Former golfer. I think he was on the Gophers about 25, maybe it was 30 years ago. I remember that name. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. Sad story. Thank you, Amazing Blue. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Heartbreak 25. Super chat. I bet you lose week 0. I won. I bet you lose week 0. Who did you bet with? What sucker took that play? I don't know. Whoever made that play with you, you should not be taking advantage of that poor soul. But however, week 1 is going to be a completely different story. Do not bet against the fat guy. Do not bet against Greg the Gold in week 1. I'm going to make an appearance in week 1. Thank you so much for the $2 holler Heartbreak 25. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so very much. Okay. Now, there is a link in the description box. A link in the description box. There was an interview inside Maryland Sports Radio. There is a link in the description box. You can also just go to Maryland 247. Jeff Ehrman and I don't know who else. They were interviewing the new athletic director of the University of Maryland. He just became the new athletic director. Let me read you a little bit about him first before we get into the story. The University of Maryland has named James E. Smith. This was a couple of months ago, May 15th. Smith will come to Maryland from the Atlanta Braves, where he was serving as the senior vice president of business strategy. University of Maryland named James E. Smith, Jim Smith, as the new athletic director. Jim Smith has worked in athletics for more than 2 decades at both the university and professional organizations, including the Atlanta Braves, the Ohio State University, Atlanta Falcons, AMB Sports and Entertainment, and the Columbus Crew, among others. He will oversee the university's Department of Intercollegiate Athletics team of more than 250 full-time staff members who support more than 550 student athletes. It is a great honor to be chosen to lead the athletic department at the University of Maryland and to guide UMD's storied programs into the next era. He had a 5-year tenure with the Atlanta Braves, implementing innovative business, brand, marketing, communication strategies to drive revenue, engagement, and membership growth. Jim Smith was previously with Ohio State University Alumni Association, where as a president and CEO, he led one of the largest alumni associations in the world, including a team of more than 80 professionals, and oversaw $17 million budget. He implemented new strategies focused on innovative alumni engagement and outreach, resulting in a 10% annual revenue growth in 2 years and 15% increase in alumni participation. He held positions with the National Football League's Atlanta Falcons, Major League Soccer Atlanta United, and design and development of the $1.6 billion Mercedes-Benz Stadium project. On and on and on and on. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a splash of who this guy is. Never been an athletic director. He said, now, in this interview, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get in trouble, but you can go ahead. We provided a link in the description box. He was talking about a whole range of subjects, and at the very end, they had this part where on Inside Maryland Sports Radio, they would give him a question and he would have to answer quickly. It was rapid fire, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. He was given 5 questions. The very first question was, how many schools in the Big Ten in the year 2030? How many schools in the Big Ten in the year 2030? Jim Smith, the athletic director of Maryland, did not hesitate, and he answered 20. Then the host of the show said, well, I wish I could ask you who, but then they went on, and they had 4 more questions. Without hesitation, he didn't give us a range. He didn't say 18 to 22. He didn't say maybe nothing, I don't know. The new athletic director of Maryland said 20. He could have taken the easy way out and said 18 and we're happy where we are and blah, 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 blah. But he said 20. Now, what does that mean? Maybe it means nothing at all. I do think it's interesting on a couple of different levels. One, he's a new athletic director. Very new. He was announced on, he just started his job in June. But remember that document, that email, that thing we talked about recent Big Ten communications with 4 universities. And so we know there's been recent fluid action going on, right? For at least 4 schools and probably more. So it probably isn't too difficult to believe that the new athletic director just getting his first, being at the first media days. Remember, they had these big discussions about a whole lot of things, including private equity and all these. It isn't too difficult to believe that the talking about possible expansion has been socialized even within the time that Mr. Jim Smith became the athletic director of Maryland. It's not too difficult to believe any of that. It's not too difficult to believe any of that. And I find it interesting that he did not give us a range. He gave us a 20. I happen to believe the Big Ten is going to go to 20. It's my prediction, not my report. I have not reported. Just a prediction. I thought they'd go to 20. I thought the SEC would take the big scoop. Big Ten would go to 20. It is interesting that Maryland hired a gentleman with all this Ohio State ties. It's interesting that Jim Smith has done a whole lot of work, years and years and years of marketing, branding, investments in the city of Atlanta. It's interesting that Jim Smith seems to be pretty confident, at least in the number that the Big Ten is going to go to by 2030. He seemed pretty confident that, if you think about it, there is a viable path in which the Big Ten does not expand. I would not blame any athletic director being asked a question saying, we're happy with 18. I'm sure most of the experienced athletic directors would have answered that question. We're good at 18. We keep an eye on the landscape, right? But this new athletic director did not say that. He said 20. He did not say 18. He did not say 22. He did not say 24. He said 20. So let's speculate on that. By the way, we at Peek Around the Corner, we're working on a story We're working on this. Jim Smith, his name has come up on another story that we're working on. It's not connected to this interview. And it's nothing bad about Jim Smith. I'm sure he's a fine fella. But it's something else to do with Big Ten expansion plans. We are working on something. So I wanted to bring this up. This is a great way to introduce to you the new athletic director who doesn't seem to mind talking in public about this. But we'll get back to that later in the days, weeks, months ahead, whenever we feel that we can unload another story. But if you think about it, let's speculate on this. If this gentleman, this new athletic director, comes out with this 20, the answer, 20, right away, bam. You don't have to take you don't have to believe in what I'm saying. You go ahead and listen to the interview yourself. He says 20 without 20. It's like he's talked about this many times before with other athletic directors. So let's say that these athletic directors are talking about the future of Big Ten, which they're doing all the time. It ties in with the future of the college football playoff format. It is one of the reasons why the Big Ten wants a larger format, because they're going to have a larger conference. It's one of the reasons why the SEC wants a larger format, because they're going to be a larger conference. It all ties in with each other. So when these reporters out there saying, oh my God, it's absurd, 24-20. Well, they haven't really tied into their minds yet that these conferences are going to be bigger. There's going to be more imbalanced scheduling, and they want the conference races to be really, 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 really important. Beyond what the selection committee and the rumors and the propaganda gets put out by metrics every single. They want conference races to be important. So let's pretend for a moment that Jim Smith, I don't know the gentleman, he doesn't know me, but let's say he walks into these rooms and they're talking about 20. They're socializing 20. They're talking about 20. We're going to go to 20. We think we're going to go to 20. And they're planning around 20. They're planning the new college football format. What is good? What is best for the Big Ten? What serves the best interest of the Big Ten if the Big Ten is at 20? Not at 18, not at 22. Big Ten at 20. Okay, let's speculate that they've been talking about 20 a lot more than any other scenario as they game this out in the Big Ten. Remember, now some of you agree with me, some of you don't, but I happen to believe, after talking with many, many people for way too many hours on this, that the Big Ten doesn't have complete total control over the destiny, what it's exactly going to look like in the Big Ten. Because there is this thing called the Southeastern Conference. There is this thing called media partners. There is this thing called the economy and everything else. So they don't have total control. And plus, they don't have total control of what North Carolina wants and what Notre Dame wants. But let's go back to that number 20. If Jim Smith is so confident in saying 20, without even batting an eye, if you think about it, and I'm just speculating here, if you think about it, that means, well, maybe the Big Ten is anticipating that they're going to go to 20, that they can go to 20, that 20 is going to work for them, regardless of the decisions that the SEC makes and the decision that Notre Dame makes. Let's say Big Ten sitting there and going, okay, if the SEC does the big scoop, maybe Notre Dame will fall to us because that is the complete implosion, almost the complete implosion of the most valuable brands in the ACC, and Notre Dame will fall to us. But maybe the Big Ten is sitting there going, well, what if the SEC does a small scoop? What if they take only 2 schools? What would we do then if Notre Dame is not willing to go with us? Are we still certain and positive? Is it still going to 20? Does that still serve our Big Ten conference? I think, and I'm just speculating here, I think Jim Smith's confident answer, quick answer to the question might lead us to the belief that the Big Ten's going to 20, hell or high water. The Big Ten is going to get into the South regardless. They might not be able to get their target number 1, target number 2. Maybe Notre Dame ain't going to fall to them yet, but they're still going to go to 20. They're going to go to 20, they're going to go to 20, they're going to go to 20. Because it's going to work out. They can figure out their scheduling. Get some big markets, get a big football brand, have the right blend. They think they might have the right blend no matter what the SEC does. Something is still going to be available to the Big Ten regardless what the Southeastern Conference does. I just find it interesting that a new athletic director from Maryland with all these Ohio State ties, and we have reported to you all, this Big Ten expansion that is going to come up more than any other Big Ten expansion in its history is going to have the Ohio State Buckeyes fingerprints all over it. Everybody knows it. They won't talk about it. Pete Thamel ain't going to tell you that. Heather Dinich ain't going to tell you that. Ross Dellinger might tell you that. Brett McMurphy will keep it to himself. Everyone will keep it to themselves. I'm not going to keep it to myself. That's not what we do here at College Football Peek Around the Corner. The Buckeyes and Penn State acquiesced to the Big Ten's last expansion of Washington and Oregon. They're going to have their fingerprints on this. And I'll tell you another thing. The chatter behind the curtain, when they're trying to figure this out, when it's active and fluid, most of what they're focusing on, most of their phone calls, most of their sources are circling around Ohio State and Penn State when they're trying to figure this out. Not around Michigan and Wisconsin. And that is another reason why Jim Smith, the new athletic director in Maryland, what he said is kind of interesting. And then you're going to have to take the speculation just a little bit more. And I don't know how much, well, we're working on it. But, Maryland did go for a guy who knew the city of Atlanta inside and out. Jim Smith, in his interview, if you listen to it, talked about what Maryland has to do to get more resources. And basically he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but you go ahead and listen to the interview. Jim Smith basically said, yeah, it's important to engage with the boosters, with the alumni base and everything else, but really Maryland has to get into the corporate world. The corporate world that is interested in the state of Maryland, in Maryland athletics, they've got to get activated. That is where they're going to see their biggest revenue growth. They get the corporate world involved. They got a corporate business guy as their athletic director. And it's interesting. Ohio State CEO, president of the Alumni Association, large alumni association, active. And a lot of that came from, where did it come from? Ohio State University Alumni Club in Atlanta, GA. Find it interesting. We're just poking and prodding here. We're just poking and prodding here. That's all we're doing. We're going to keep working on it. But all that I thought should be brought out to you, because I don't know if any other college football YouTube channel is going to bring that out to you, but we just did. It might not mean anything at all. Jim Smith might be completely wrong, but I find it a little bit interesting that a new athletic director, without hesitation, how many schools are going to be part of the Big 12 in 2030? And he answered without hesitation, 20. And then they kind of laughed because he kind of said it so fast and quick, and they went on with the next question. I'm going to open up the phone lines, and you can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. You can talk about the Week 0 games. We did an aftermath show yesterday. Yesterday we did an aftermath show. It was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing an aftermath show almost every Sunday or late Saturday to talk about the games that were just played. So keep an eye on that. Keep your head on a swivel. We are going to be doing continued aftermath shows on this National College Football YouTube channel on Sundays or late Saturdays, depending on what the schedule, whatever works best for us. So, give us a call. The phone lines are now officially open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. What did you think about the games about Week 1? We touched upon a lot of them. Your football team, what do you think? Are you a little bit nervous, or are you brave like I am for Week 1? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the Buffalo Bulls. I'm not scared. Yeah, well, there's a lot of landmines sitting out there for my beloved Golden Gophers come this Thursday. A lot of landmines. I'm not going to step in any of it. I am not going to step in any of it. We also talked about the Miami athletic director, talking about college conference championship games. I'm not that passionate about them. I like them, but I think there are also alternatives we can look at. They're talking about the alternatives. Shocker. Every conference, every athletic director, they're all talking about alternatives to the college football playoff format. Some of them really don't need a conference championship games to be a part of them.
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
Hello, Greg. I talk to you more than I do my own family members.
I don't know if they take that as a compliment or if your family should take that as an insult. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay. I would like to see that comment. Did you see it or read the comment with the athletic director of Maryland?
Now, which one? Maryland or Miami?
No, Maryland.
Maryland. I provided a link in the description box. I heard it in the interview. So if you go to the link after the show, you're going to be able to hear it. Or go if you have a 247 account, you can go to Maryland 247 and listen to the interview. It's the second one from the they list their interviews, and it's the second one from the top. So anybody can listen.
You saw it or saw it or listened to it, yes?
Yeah. What was that?
Oh, you listened to it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
But did it sound like kind of a, I don't know, kind of a rhetorical answer, or
No.
did it sound like a 20?
Now remember, this was a rapid fire, a start of 5 questions. Now, they had a whole interview. They talked about a lot of subjects. Very interesting interview. But then the athletic director was warned, Jim Smith, that we're going to give you 5 questions. The first thing that, answer quickly. We're going to jump to the next question. And this team, this host, this panel, they do this with all their guests. So it's not anything surprising. The athletic director knew it was coming. The very first question out of the box, how many schools in the Big Ten in 2030? And he says 20. Like, bam. No hesitation, no laughter. And then the host kind of said, whoa, okay. No, it was not. It was like, it's almost like he's been having discussions about this in his short tenure at Maryland. But go ahead, sir.
Okay. All right. So we'll take him at his word there. So let's say they're going to 20. Let's assume that means the SEC goes to 22, just for a what if. So 6 teams have just been taken, 2 and 4, right?
With the SEC, if they go to 16 to 20, you mean?
Right. Well, that would be 4 teams, and then the Big Ten is going to take 2 teams.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a scenario? I know Notre Dame has scheduled Alabama. They scheduled Florida. I think they scheduled Arkansas. They play Texas A&M this year. Is there a scenario where Notre Dame can stay independent and maybe play, I don't know, play some ACC teams, play some SEC teams, cobble together enough to keep it? That's just what I'm thinking.
I think it all comes down to this. Let's say that Southeastern Conference does a big scoop. Let's say they take 4 schools. And let's say the Big Ten takes 2 and neither one of them are Notre Dame.
Correct.
There's a scenario that Notre Dame stays football independence. I happen to think the walls are going to eventually close down on it and they're going to have to make some sort of change. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. I think here's the thing. Notre Dame is always going to have playoff access as a football independence. And they're always pretty much going to be able to keep up monetarily, although they also could struggle after the next media contracts and whatever. The big one with Notre Dame, and I keep saying this, but I think people keep focusing on the other 2. The third one is a home in which Notre Dame's Olympic programs, non-revenue programs can thrive and compete for national championships. A home in which the student athletes are treated well. This is the big one for Notre Dame. And if you lose a North Carolina, if you lose a Virginia, if you lose a Florida State, if you lose a Clemson, if you lose a Miami, and whatever the 6 schools are, does Notre Dame, is the ACC a good enough home for all these student athletes that Notre Dame, they I know everyone thinks about only the revenue sports, and they should, but they got all these other sponsored sports, all these other student athletes. There's a reason why Notre Dame men's hockey left Hockey East and joined the Big Ten. It's because it no longer served the Notre Dame student athletes. If North Carolina leaves, if all these big ACC brands leave, does the ACC home serve Notre Dame student athletes? And I think that is going to be a very tough moment for Notre Dame to figure out what they're going to do next. Go ahead.
Well, that's a good point, and it would be hard to have one foot in the ACC and one foot, hockey teams in the Big Ten, and I'm going to schedule 3 or 4 SEC teams. I mean, you've got all these side deals, right?
Yeah.
So I'm buying that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you sold me on that. I think if everybody's going to 20, and I mean the 2, the two big leagues, then I'm with you. I think Notre Dame almost has to go.
Yeah, but now if we take a step back and maybe the Southeastern Conference only does a small scoop. Maybe they find the right blend where the 2 schools that kind of check every box. Maybe in North Carolina, Clemson's situation. Or maybe the presidents went out and they just take North Carolina and Virginia. Whatever the combination is, let's say the Southeastern Conference only take two schools.
The small scoop.
Huh?
Yeah, the SEC small scoop. Okay,
yeah.
And then the Big Ten takes 2, so there's 4 schools.
Yeah,
instead of
maybe
6.
that won't be. Maybe the ACC will stay viable enough to have a home for Notre Dame, and the ACC backfills a little bit, and they stay stable enough for Notre Dame. That could be as well.
Okay, so in that scenario, so the thing about Notre Dame is they bring so big of a financial, punch that it allows the Big Ten to make Oregon and Washington whole, right?
If Notre Dame comes, yeah.
If Notre Dame comes, yeah. Okay, all right. So, but if you're not taking Notre Dame, there's nobody on the board.
No, and
probably that does that.
Yeah, and that might make it to where. Either because, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's gonna. You're not going to be able. The Big Ten ain't going to be able to bring somebody on and have them have
more people that have shares, right?
Yeah, they could bring schools on at half share, but they're not going to bring schools on that get more than Washington and Oregon. Unless they bring up Washington and Oregon up to, the new schools. So Washington and Oregon aren't going to get they're not going to get screwed out of this. So, yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
If Notre Dame's not on let's just play along in the what if. So the SEC has a little scoop. Yeah. The Big Ten takes 2, and let's say it's not Notre Dame. Who brings enough punch then to make it worthwhile? No, right. I'm almost like thinking it's got to be Notre Dame.
Well, or there's two scenarios. If it's not Notre Dame, there's 2 scenarios. The 2 schools, if they come in at 27 or 28, they take the same type of shares that Washington and Oregon took, right? Because the Big Ten's new contract's coming in 2030 anyways.
Okay.
So them coming in at half share is only going to be a couple years, right?
Okay.
But they secure that Big Ten spot. That's one scenario. The second scenario is the Big Ten actually waits until they're in their meeting negotiations in 2029, and then they bring on the 2 schools, and they're going to get full shares when they come on in, and Oregon and Washington will get full shares in 2030.
Was this question directed? Did they say the year when they asked the athletic director?
They just
said how many schools in 2030. Is that what he said?
They did not say by 2030. They said in 2030 how many schools, and he said 20.
There's a lot to that preposition, in or by, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A little grammar lesson here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
Yes,
fascinating. Okay. The other athletic director, the Miami athletic director. Okay, if you're not going to play a conference championship game, and I think that's where it's gone. When the leagues were smaller, we had co-champions all the time.
Yep.
With big leagues and everyone's not playing each other, I mean, are we just going to go down on the 4th or 5th tiebreaker to determine the conference champion?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even matter who the conference champion is anymore. We don't care about that anymore. That's
yeah.
the question.
I think. I mean, I do. I care.
Well, I do too.
I guess
right?
It may have to go if there's not a conference championship game, then it's going to have to go to, regular season tiebreakers. Yep.
And in a smaller league, the tiebreakers are maybe kind of reasonable, but in a bigger league, the tiebreakers aren't necessarily obvious. Or you could have 3 teams.
Yeah.
That are 8-1, right? And maybe they round robin all beat and lost to each other, or maybe they didn't play each other. Who knows, right?
Yep, exactly. So, because you're going to have imbalanced schedules. Yep.
Right. So I'm just worried if we go that route, that the winner. It's a big deal to win your conference, right?
In some ways, Christopher, in my opinion, When you don't have divisions, so you don't have round robin plays
Right.
in your division. When you don't have
Yep.
divisions and your conference has grown so big and you have imbalanced schedules, that all automatically has devalued your conference championship game just a little bit. Because you could have three teams, like we almost had it last year in the ACC, have the same record, but they didn't play each other at all, you know.
Right.
And so in this reality where these conferences don't want to go to divisions, they want larger conferences, they want more bandwidth for their media partners, they want a larger footprint, they want more opportunities for branding for across the country. It's impossible to really, you know, you can't design your schedule, your conference schedule. There's not enough games to design it to make sure you got the two most deserving teams in your conference championship games.
Right.
So since it's going to be devalued, let's open up the playoffs. Let's make it bigger. Let's make more money. And the top three teams of these conferences are going to make the playoffs anyways, right? So, and they might have a home game.
That was the goal to begin with, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Although who hosts a home team and who hosts a home game as opposed to travels, I mean, there could be a lot riding on this fourth tiebreaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, well, that's fascinating. Those are great little pearls of wisdom there, little nuggets you left for us.
Yeah.
With both ADs, huh? I know you have to. I guess we'll have to have a pool or something. Maybe we could have like a bet what happens and who goes where.
Not on this show, but other shows might do that.
I just throw that out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate the call, my friend. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much.
Call
Okay,
again, sir.
enjoyed it.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah. Bye.
We're getting some comments in the comments section. Morris Simmons and others talking about Florida State Phil Collins. I know they had some sort of, he was going to talk. Has that already happened? Has Mr. Collins, the Board of Trustees, Chairman Collins, he was already on War Chat. I'm going to have to take a look at that if possible, if somebody sends it to me. What did he say, by the way? What did Mr. Collins say? Let me know in the chat or give me a phone call at 763-260-1333. Rod Nick says Peter Collins feels that AAU status is pretty close for Florida State. Did Peter Collins, I keep calling him Phil Collins. Did Peter Collins say that? Did Peter Collins say that today? Thank you, Daniel Gorby. Appreciate it. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Again, tomorrow, Tuesday, August 26th, we are going to be making our picks against the spread in week number 1. Week number 1. We've gone through a lot of the games. Not all of them. There's going to be even more. There's going to be a lot of games here, ladies and gentlemen. Boise State, South Florida. 6.5 point spread. Boise State, the favorite. Nebraska, Cincinnati. 6.5 point. Nebraska's the favorite. Auburn, Baylor. Auburn minus 2.5. Georgia Tech, Colorado. Georgia Tech minus 4.5 on the road. Higher altitude. Minus 4.5. Number 1 versus number 2 when it goes to the AP poll. Texas and Ohio State at the shoe. Tennessee, Syracuse. 13.5 point spread. Florida State, Bama, 13.5 point spread. Clemson, LSU, 3.5 point spread. Utah, UCLA, 6.5 point spread. Arizona, Hawaii, 17.5 point spread. We're also going to be doing South Carolina and Virginia Tech, Miami and Notre Dame, North Carolina, TCU. There's going to be 12 games in total. 12 games in total that we're going to be picking on tomorrow. So it's going to be a long live show. The Einsteins, you guys are 1-2. I'm 1-2. We got to get back. We got to get on track here. We cannot fall in a deep, deep hole early in the season. We can't have that happen again. Not for the 4th year in a row. BYU football, the Big Ten wins 2 natties in a row and act like they have no idea what they're doing. It's like you're trying to secure that ground that you don't belong on. Jim Reese, Florida State and Miami to the Big Ten. Morris Simmons, there are only 2 schools that bring money to the Big Ten. Number 1, Notre Dame, and number 2, Florida State. Okay, let me just check real quick here. Okay, I thank you for the links for the war chant. I will listen to it later. Should be interesting. Fox and YouTube TV are in a carriage dispute ahead of the college football season. Fox and YouTube are in a carriage dispute right before the Texas-Ohio State game. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close the phone line since nobody's given a call after the great call of Christopher Hooter. Look, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Subscribe and smash the like button. And when you subscribe to our channel, make sure you turn on your notifications because we cover all the breaking news on a national level, national stage here at college football's peak around the corner. So you got to keep your head on a swivel. We could come up live at any time. So you got to subscribe and turn on those notifications. I want to thank Ricky Tungate, Amazing Blue, Heartbreak 25 for your donations to help us keep the lights on. Christopher Hooter, great call. Thank you, Smile Time. I appreciate it. At BYU football, this is a warning. That language cannot be used in the chat room. You've used that language a couple of times. Just clean it up for the next live show. I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Can't have that language. Thank you, Pitt. Appreciate it. Taytown Hawk back from Lawrence, Kansas. Safe in one piece. What a weekend. Watch out for KU. Congratulations, Taytown Hawk. Congratulations on the big victory against Fresno State. Everything looked good. Everything. Jalen Daniels, 18 for 20. But what really looked good for Kansas is the line of scrimmage. I was impressed. That nose tackle. He was making plays. Ron Nix, get ready for the upsets this weekend. Smash that like button. Thank you, Kane. Appreciate it. Al Woody, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, guys. Okay, so tomorrow is a big day at PATC. We're making our selections against the spread. We're gonna be having 12 games. So let these games marinate. Vote tomorrow's games, and let's see what your Einsteins come up with. All I know is Greg the Gold is going to be making the picks tomorrow. And it's going to be moments of brilliance. Yes. I got to be confident. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.